From the very beginning, critics of Meghan Markle have argued that she never looked completely comfortable when the spotlight shifted toward Princess Catherine. Whether every expression has been interpreted fairly is another question, but there are certain royal appearances where Meghan's body language has been replayed again and again because the tension looked impossible for viewers to ignore. So today, we're looking at 15 moments when Meghan appeared to give Catherine a seriously icy look. And keep an eye out for number 13, because that one became one of the most talked about examples of them all. Number 1. Commonwealth Day. This should have been a simple celebration of the royal family's role within the Commonwealth, with the attention firmly on the event itself. Catherine appeared relaxed and focused on the people around her, smiling, speaking naturally, and carrying herself with the calm public style that had already become familiar at major royal appearances. But viewers quickly noticed Meghan's expression whenever Catherine came into her line of sight. At one point, cameras captured Meghan looking directly toward Catherine with a much colder expression than the smiles being exchanged elsewhere. Now, one frozen moment cannot prove what somebody is thinking, and facial expressions can easily look harsher when pulled from a longer piece of footage. But that did not stop royal watchers from studying the clip frame by frame. What made the moment stand out was the contrast. Catherine seemed focused on the event, while Meghan's attention appeared fixed in her direction for those few seconds. Some viewers read it as irritation, others saw jealousy, while supporters argued that people were simply projecting an existing rivalry onto an ordinary expression. Still, this was exactly the kind of moment that helped build the public belief that something between these two women was not quite right. At the time, the palace image still depended heavily on the idea that the younger royals could appear together as a united team. Yet moments like this were already giving viewers something very different to talk about, and this was only the beginning. That first look was intense, cold, and difficult to miss, yet Catherine appeared completely unfazed, continuing with the engagement as though nothing unusual had happened. Her calm reaction only made the contrast more noticeable, especially as she continued building a reputation as one of the royal family's most polished and consistently well-dressed members. Number 2. The Royal Foundation Forum. This moment became especially memorable because Catherine was the one holding the microphone and commanding the room. She spoke confidently, answered questions, and had the audience's attention firmly on her. Meghan was seated nearby, watching. Then came the expression. As Catherine continued speaking, Meghan turned toward her with a noticeably harder look. Critics immediately interpreted it as irritation, resentment, or jealousy, particularly because the expression appeared at the exact moment Catherine was receiving the attention. Of course, body language alone cannot tell us exactly what Meghan was thinking, but that has not stopped this clip from being replayed countless times by royal watchers. What makes this moment different from the first is the setting. This was not Catherine simply walking past Meghan or appearing across a crowded event. Catherine was actively speaking, leading the conversation, and occupying the spotlight in a professional setting. Meghan's expression, therefore, became part of a much larger debate about whether she struggled when Catherine naturally took the lead. Catherine, meanwhile, seemed completely unaware of the stare and continued speaking without reacting at all. Number 3. The RAF Centenary Celebration. The RAF Centenary marked 100 years of the RAF, making this a major ceremonial occasion rather than an ordinary royal appearance. Prince William and Prince Harry both had important personal connections to military service, which meant the focus should have remained on the historic significance of the day. But once again, cameras would capture another interaction that royal watchers quickly began dissecting. As the attention should have stayed completely on the historic RAF milestone, royal watchers quickly picked up on another moment involving Meghan and Catherine. As Catherine carried out her duties with the polished composure expected at a major national event, Meghan was caught looking in her direction with an expression that viewers described as unusually intense. The stare appeared sharp, prolonged, and noticeably different from the lighter expressions seen elsewhere during the celebration. Some interpreted it as a classic death stare, but others argued that a brief camera angle can easily exaggerate tension that may not have existed at all. What cannot be denied is how quickly the clip became another piece of footage used by people convinced that Meghan and Catherine were far from comfortable around each other. Once again, Catherine appeared completely focused on the occasion and gave no visible reaction. That made the moment stand out even more. Meghan's expression became the story, precisely because Catherine seemed unaware of it. Number 4. Trooping the Color. Trooping the Color is one of the biggest ceremonial events in the royal calendar, officially marking the monarch's birthday with military precision, carriage processions, crowds, and one of the most photographed royal appearances of the year. Catherine appeared relaxed and engaged, smiling toward the crowds and carrying herself naturally throughout the procession. Meghan looked noticeably more reserved. At one point, cameras captured another serious glance in Catherine's direction, and critics immediately read tension into it. Some described Meghan's posture as stiff and her expression as frustrated or uncomfortable, while Catherine appeared completely at ease. Of course, that does not prove jealousy or bitterness, but in a setting designed to project royal unity, even a few seconds of visible tension can become impossible to ignore, and this moment only added to the growing fascination with what was really happening between these two women. Number 5. Prince Louis's christening. Prince Louis's christening should have been one of those rare royal occasions where everything centered on family, tradition, and celebration. Catherine had recently given birth, yet she appeared composed and relaxed as she spoke with members of the clergy and carried Louis through the ceremony. Meghan, however, was captured giving Catherine another noticeably hard look. The expression lasted only a moment, but cameras caught it clearly enough for royal watchers to begin dissecting it almost immediately. Some interpreted the stare as tension or irritation, while others went much further, suggesting Meghan was uncomfortable with Catherine's position as the mother of children directly in the line of succession. That theory remains speculation. A facial expression cannot tell us what Meghan was thinking, and there is no evidence that succession was actually on her mind. What made the moment interesting was the timing. This was an event entirely centered on William and Catherine's youngest child, meaning Meghan was attending a family occasion where Catherine naturally occupied much of the attention. For viewers already convinced there was rivalry between them, the expression fit neatly into that narrative. Number 6. Wimbledon. Wimbledon created a completely different kind of situation. Meghan had long been associated with tennis through her friendship with Serena Williams, so attending the tournament was hardly unusual. But when Meghan and Catherine appeared together, cameras once again became focused on their interaction rather than the match itself. As they entered, Meghan appeared to glance toward Catherine with an expression some viewers considered unfriendly before quickly changing into a smile. That quick transition became the part people replayed. Unlike the christening, this was not a formal royal ceremony. It was a sporting event where both women had more freedom to interact naturally, which made every expression feel less rehearsed. Supporters saw nothing unusual, while critics argued the change in Meghan's face happened too quickly to ignore. Either way, Wimbledon provided another example of how even the smallest interaction between Meghan and Catherine had become capable of overshadowing the event around them. By the time that Wimbledon moment was over, critics believed the tension had already slipped through the polished smiles. Meghan may have tried to soften the expression afterward, but viewers had already noticed the change. Number 7. RAF centenary seating arrangement. This next moment is interesting because Catherine was not even sitting beside Meghan. During the RAF centenary celebrations, members of the royal family were seated according to the formal arrangements of the ceremony. Catherine was positioned some distance away beside Prince William, while Meghan was elsewhere with Harry. Yet cameras appeared to catch Meghan repeatedly looking across in Catherine's direction. That distance is what made the footage stand out. There was no conversation taking place between them, and no obvious interaction requiring Meghan's attention. Catherine seemed occupied with the ceremony, while Meghan's gaze appeared to travel back toward her several times. Critics described the looks as intense and unusually focused, questioning why Meghan seemed so interested in what Catherine was doing from across the seating area. Of course, there could have been countless ordinary reasons for looking across a royal gathering, and the footage cannot tell us exactly what Meghan was thinking. But for viewers already watching their body language closely, the repeated glances became difficult to overlook. Number 8. RAF standing moment. Later, during the same event, Harry, Meghan, William, and Catherine were standing much closer together, creating an entirely different dynamic. Catherine appeared relaxed and smiling as the group waited through the formal proceedings. Then Meghan looked toward her. Her expression appeared to shift almost immediately, becoming noticeably more serious while Catherine continued smiling. This moment attracted attention because there was no obvious exchange between them. Catherine was not speaking to Meghan or confronting her. She simply appeared comfortable in the surroundings. That made Meghan's reaction more intriguing to viewers. Some interpreted the stare almost as confusion or irritation at Catherine's easy confidence, while others saw nothing more than another fleeting expression captured at an unfortunate second. Either way, the RAF centenary produced not just one, but several moments that royal watchers would later use when arguing that whatever tension existed between Meghan and Catherine was becoming increasingly difficult to hide. The contrast between Catherine's easy public warmth and Meghan's much tighter expression became another detail critics immediately noticed. Catherine appeared comfortable in the surroundings, while Meghan looked far more serious beside her. Number 9. The Commonwealth Day Walk. During another Commonwealth Day appearance, Catherine was walking ahead while Meghan followed behind with the rest of the royal party. That positioning created one of those moments where the cameras caught Meghan looking directly toward Catherine from behind. The glance was sharp enough that viewers quickly labeled it another side-eye moment. What made this one different was that Catherine was not interacting with Meghan at all. She was simply moving through the engagement, focused on what was happening in front of her. Meghan's expression, however, appeared unusually fixed in Catherine's direction for those few seconds. Some viewers interpreted it as hostility or irritation, while others would argue that a short clip cannot reveal someone's actual emotions. Still, ask yourself this: if someone was walking behind you looking at you like that, would you feel completely comfortable? Number 10. Another RAF moment. The RAF centenary produced yet another piece of footage that caught the attention of royal watchers. Catherine was once again focused on the ceremony and seemingly paying little attention to Meghan. Yet Meghan appeared to glance across toward her with another noticeably serious expression. By this stage, critics were no longer discussing one isolated photograph. They were pointing to several different moments from the same event, each showing Meghan looking toward Catherine while Catherine appeared occupied with something else. That does not prove jealousy, resentment, or any specific emotion, but the repetition is exactly why these clips became so popular among viewers examining their relationship. One strange expression can be dismissed as unfortunate timing. Several similar moments across the same public appearance are much harder for people not to notice. Number 11. Remembrance Day. Remembrance Day carries a completely different atmosphere from the celebrations and sporting events we have already seen. This is a solemn occasion dedicated to honoring those who served and died, meaning every expression and movement from the royal family is watched particularly closely. Catherine appeared composed throughout the ceremony, dressed appropriately and maintaining the quiet, restrained demeanor expected on such a serious day. Meghan, however, was caught looking toward Catherine with another noticeably intense expression. Critics quickly interpreted the glance as jealousy or irritation, especially because Catherine seemed completely focused on the ceremony and was not interacting with Meghan at the time. Some even suggested Catherine's effortless ability to handle these traditional royal occasions may have made the contrast between the two women more obvious. That interpretation cannot be proven from body language alone, but what made the moment memorable was where it happened. At an event where everyone was expected to remain solemn and focused, Meghan's sideways glance became one of the small details cameras picked up almost immediately. Number 12. Queen Elizabeth II lying in state. This next moment took place under far more emotional circumstances. Following Queen Elizabeth II's death, members of the royal family gathered as the late queen lay in state. The occasion demanded restraint, dignity, and respect, as Britain entered one of the most significant periods of national mourning in decades. Yet royal watchers once again noticed Meghan looking toward Catherine. The side-eye appeared brief, but because tensions between the Sussexes and the Waleses were already widely discussed by this point, even a momentary glance attracted enormous attention. Catherine's future position also made the image particularly striking. As William's wife, she was now closer than ever to eventually becoming queen, while Meghan and Harry had already stepped away from working royal life. Some viewers interpreted Meghan's expression through that hierarchy, seeing envy or resentment. Others argue that reading such emotions into a few seconds of footage during a funeral period goes too far. Either way, by September 2022, these women were no longer being viewed as two new royal sisters-in-law finding their footing. Years of public conflict had changed how every interaction between them was interpreted, and the cameras were watching everything. Number 13. The Wimbledon Staircase. This is one of the moments viewers return to again and again because Meghan's attention appeared completely fixed on Catherine. As the two women made their way down the stairs at Wimbledon, Catherine walked slightly ahead, focused on where she was going and seemingly unaware of what was happening behind her. Meghan, however, appeared to keep her eyes trained on Catherine rather than on the steps in front of her. That lingering look immediately caught people's attention. Critics interpreted Meghan's expression as frustration, especially because Catherine was naturally attracting cameras and public attention without appearing to seek it. Supporters would argue that Meghan could simply have been watching where Catherine was going, or following her through a crowded area. But the length of the glance is what made this clip stand apart from many of the earlier examples. It was not simply a split-second facial expression frozen into a photograph. Meghan appeared to continue watching Catherine as they moved, creating one of the strongest visual moments in this entire countdown. Number 14. The Queen's Funeral Walkabout. We have already seen Meghan looking toward Catherine from behind, across seating arrangements and during formal ceremonies. But this time, Catherine appeared to notice. During the Windsor walkabout following Queen Elizabeth II's death, William, Catherine, Harry, and Meghan appeared together before crowds outside Windsor Castle. The reunion itself was already extraordinary given the tensions that had developed between the two couples. At one point, Meghan looked toward Catherine, and Catherine stepped forward and looked directly back at her. The sudden exchange immediately became one of the most replayed body language moments from the appearance. Catherine's expression looked unusually firm compared with her typically controlled public demeanor, while Meghan appeared to respond by turning away. Calling it a death stare is interpretation, not something we can know for certain. But visually, this was different from almost every previous moment because Catherine appeared to acknowledge the tension rather than simply ignore it. For once, Meghan was not the only person doing the looking, and Catherine's response changed the entire energy of the scene. That may have been the clearest mess around and find out moment in the entire countdown. After Catherine stepped forward and returned a look, Meghan appeared to pull back, then began adjusting her hair and shifting her posture. Whether that was nervousness or simply an ordinary reaction is impossible to know, but the timing made the exchange stand out. Number 15. The Christmas Service. The final moment came during one of the royal family's most traditional public appearances. Christmas at Sandringham is supposed to project unity, stability, and goodwill. The family walks together, greets members of the public, and presents an image of continuity during one of the most closely watched royal occasions of the year. Catherine looked calm and completely at ease as she moved with the group. Meghan, however, was once again caught looking toward her during the return walk. The expression appeared intense and noticeably serious, and critics immediately interpreted it as another sign of unresolved tension. By this point, viewers had seen similar glances at royal ceremonies, family events, Wimbledon, RAF celebrations, and even during periods of mourning. What made this final example different was how little Catherine seemed to react. She simply continued walking. That may explain why these moments became so fascinating to royal watchers. Catherine rarely appeared to acknowledge the alleged tension publicly, while Meghan's expressions were repeatedly analyzed for signs that something underneath the polished royal image was not quite right. Of course, none of these clips can tell us exactly what either woman was thinking, Body language is interpretation, not proof. But taken together, they created a visual history that helped fuel years of speculation about one of the most discussed relationships inside the modern royal family. So there you have it, 15 moments when Meghan Markle appeared to give Princess Catherine a seriously icy look. Which moment stood out to you the most? Was number 13 the strongest, or did another one catch your attention even more? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Legacy Leaks for more royal stories.